a 9-point enhanced Canadian high shares ETF, iconic Canadian blue chip stocks in one ETF, with high monthly income and a 0% management fee until February 28, 2026.
Just waiting here for this conference to start. Should be starting any moment now. It was scheduled for quarter of. And here we see you out there. How you doing, Yosef? I think that's how you pronounce it. La la la, exactly. That's what I say. La la la. But at least turn on the sound. Well, it's starting to look more press release like now. Or not. Hi, she's taking a picture. Smile. You're on somebody's camera. Not really sure what this is going to be about, but Ford has been talking a lot about infrastructure in Ontario, Toronto, I think, and tourism as well. So there's a pretty good chance that that's what the topic is going to be. This was supposed to be happening already. Oh. Well, they're starting to run. That could be good news. We're already late. Let's rush now. It's a little water in case our conversation gets too dry. You said all that rushing around for nothing. Is that right?
Warm-up act for the Premier of Ontario. Premier Ford, thank you for joining us here in Ottawa. It's fantastic to see you again and your team. You know, we are all united, certainly the Premier and I, we're united in our shared mission to build. And for example, during Premier Ford's time as chair of the Council of the Federation, he and I work closely together to reduce interprovincial trade barriers and to create the conditions to get Canada and Ontario building again. And today what we're doing is transforming how we can build Ontario strong. Nous voulons avant tout réaliser de grands projets d'infrastructure qui vont permettre de renforcer nos industries au pays, de diversifier nos partenariats commerciaux et de créer des milliers de nouvelles carrières pour les gens de l'Ontario. For too long, the construction of major infrastructure has been stalled by arduous, inefficient approval processes. Uncertainty, red tape, duplicative and complicated reviews have curbed investment. Many examples of this. One study shows that regulatory requirements in Canada have increased by 40%, 40%, over the course of the past 2 decades, suppressing business investment growth by nearly 10%. We need to turn that around. We need to turn that around to create high-paying jobs today and better futures for our kids tomorrow. Le Canada a toujours été une nation fière des bâtisseurs. Nous avions l'habitude de construire des grandes choses dans ce pays et nous les construisions rapidement. Il est temps de s'y remettre et d'aller de l'avant. Et pour cela, nous devons d'abord nous débarrasser de ce qui nous freine. So today, Canada and Ontario are signing a cooperation agreement on environmental and impact assessment. This agreement will speed up project approval timelines by introducing a new one project, one review approach. And under the agreement, Canada and Ontario will have a streamlined and flexible assessment process that will make approvals more efficient, delivering major projects faster while maintaining both federal and provincial standards. By working together, we will work with the same information, we will have the same timelines, and we will respect each other's jurisdictions. So for example, if a project is primarily regulated by Ontario, the federal government will rely on the provincial environmental assessment. Of course, if a project falls under federal jurisdiction, the federal process will take precedence. And when, as is the case often, there are shared responsibilities, we'll pool resources, we'll align timelines, including through a harmonized process. In all cases, Ontario and the federal governments will maintain their standards and take their responsibilities for final approval decisions. So by aligning our approaches, we reduce duplication in the assessment phase and get projects built faster. By working together, we'll be providing greater certainty to builders so we can turbocharge the construction of the infrastructure Ontario and Canada needs to build our economy strong. C'est le troisième accord sur les évaluations d'impact que le Canada conclut avec une province après ceux établis avec la Colombie-Britannique et le Nouveau-Brunswick. Nous travaillons avec d'autres provinces, y compris l'île de Prince-Édouard et le Manitoba, dans le même but. Et notre objectif est de conclure des attentes dans chaque province. Canada's new government is building our economy. And it's not just what we build, but it's also how we build. We're building in solidarity with workers, creating good union jobs from the skilled trades to the STEM. We're building sustainably, reducing emissions while boosting competitiveness and affordability. We're building inclusively, in full partnership with First Nations, Inuit, and Métis. For example, under this agreement, the federal government reaffirms its commitment to uphold UNDRIP, and we're putting this into action by providing further funding for Indigenous peoples to participate in the associated assessment processes. We're also building Canadian, with Canadian workers, Canadian steel, Canadian aluminum, Canadian lumber. Mardi, notre nouvelle politique achetée canadienne est entrée en vigueur. Le gouvernement privilégiera l'utilisation de l'acier, de l'aluminium et de bois d'œuvre canadien dans les grands projets fédéraux de construction et de défense. Le gouvernement va aussi privilégier les entreprises canadiennes qui ont une vraie présence au Canada, les entreprises qui investissent ici, qui emploient des Canadiens.
Big wins can happen when you least expect it with Spin Genie. From hitting a blackjack streak on the daily commute to a winning spin in the
referred multiple projects across Canada to the new Major Projects Office, including, importantly, the Darlington new nuclear project in Bowmanville, Ontario, a project that will drive $500 million annually into the province's nuclear supply chain and will position Ontario and Canada as global leaders in the deployment of small modular reactors. 18,000 workers will be involved in the construction of Bowmanville, Darlington. Once built, the new reactor will power 300,000 homes with clean energy and sustain 4,000 jobs. The Major Projects Office will also accelerate Canada's production and processing of critical minerals. And crucially, in Ontario, the Ring of Fire has the critical minerals needed, amongst others EVs, solar, wind, as well as defense applications. To conclude, in a rapidly shifting global economy, we can't control what other nations do, but we can control what we choose to do. And we are choosing to build Ontario strong and to build Canada strong. Thank you very much. Merci. And I now give you the Premier of Ontario.
Prime Minister.
Thank you, sir.
Yep. Get out of the way. Yeah. Well, first of all, good morning, everyone. And I just want to start by thanking Prime Minister Carney for hosting me here today in beautiful Ottawa. And yes, I'm going to visit the mayor right after this. It's great to be back here again alongside Minister McCarthy and Minister Betham, probably somewhere around there. We're talking fine. There you are, Minister. As we continue to stare down President Trump's tariffs and ongoing economic uncertainty, I'm just so pleased to be here today with Prime Minister Carney to celebrate a true milestone on our mission to unleash our economy, create jobs, and build nation-building projects. When Prime Minister Carney took office, he promised to do things differently. He promised to work with provinces and territories to eliminate federal duplication so we can get shovels in the ground sooner, to create jobs and opportunities for for workers in every part of this country. Today, Prime Minister Carney has kept his promise. And Prime Minister, I want to thank you on behalf of the people of Ontario and on behalf of the people of Canada. Today's announcement is transformational. Projects that required overlapping provincial and federal review will now have a one project, one process, and this last one is so important. A one decision framework bringing certainty to investors and project proponents. It's time for Canada to build big things again, and nowhere will the impact of this deal will be felt more immediately than in the development of the Ring of Fire. Our agreement is the next step in our government's extensive work and partnerships with First Nations and Northern communities to unlock Ontario's vast critical mineral reserve in the Ring of Fire, which will add $22 billion to our economy and create 70,000 new good-paying jobs. Before today, we've signed historic agreements with Arrowland First Nation, Martin Fall First Nation, Webequie First Nation, who are ready to build. Today's agreement is the last step in our plan to get shovels in the ground this June. As soon as the ground thaws, 3 whole years ahead of schedule. And the impact of today's agreement will be felt far beyond the Ring of Fire, speeding up approvals for roads, highways, bridges, and mines in every region of Ontario. It's a time when President Trump is taking direct aim at our economy. Every second counts. We need to move at speeds we've never seen before to build a more competitive, more resilient, and self-reliant economy. Together, we're creating new opportunities for Canadian workers in every part of the country. As Premier, I've had the privilege to sign agreements, cut red tape, and tear down the barriers to trade with nearly every Canadian province and territory, unlocking $200 billion in growth. And I'm proud to be standing beside Prime Minister Carney today for our biggest accomplishment to date. Friends, we're always stronger when we work together, and together we're going to build great things and keep the true north strong and free. Thank you, and may God bless the people of Ontario. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Premier. Thank you, Prime Minister. We'll now begin the questions.
All right, we're going to forego the questions and answers. Sorry the delay in getting this going, but that's just the way it is. Once in a while, we're starting to find. Go ahead and leave your comments and your opinions on this. I know there are a lot of strong opinions on this. Some people don't think anybody should be doing anything in the Ring of Fire, and that's probably true, especially when it comes to mineral grabbing, but it will definitely create jobs and make Ontario and Canada stronger. So with that, we're going to say goodbye. We'll be back. Have a good morning. Bye-bye.